Reaching a big milestone in another big year. Time just keeps on marching on, that is crystal clear. 23 full years of questing, no banks or deaths, I've got my tricks. RuneScape 3 Hardcore Ultimate Ironman, questing through 2006. Welcome back to June 21st, 2006. Back to training, a bit of construction here. Making oak larders and oak tables. 51 construction. Did have to go drop the elemental runes just to have more space here. Well, that's not really a problem. Cheap enough, just need to run from Remington to Port Sarim. Using the demon butler here, bringing 22 planks at a time. Really is working out nicely. He's going to be more expensive than the other butler, but worth it, because he's also a lot quicker too. Anyways, 51 construction. You get the teak chest of drawers for more costume changing in the bedrooms. Carved oak wardrobe doesn't exist yet. That's for the costume room. And a whole combat ring for the combat room, which we don't have. We only have some of the rooms, the ones that are actually helpful here. 52 construction. That is mahogany for the dining table and dining benches. A very solid place to use mahogany, 6 planks at a time. Much more expensive, much more difficult to get mahogany logs, so not going to be doing that. Put a teak kitchen table in the kitchen, and teak pet house and teak pet feeder in the menagerie once that exists. A fine god statue. How fine. Also, nothing yet. 53 construction. Getting really fancy with a mahogany 4-poster bed. And also steel candlesticks for putting next to the altar. But we don't want to do that since these are still candlesticks. More important and useful things for that slot coming later. 54 construction. Well, that is an oak cape rack. Doesn't exist yet. Dartboard for the games room, which we don't have. Upgraded weapons rack for all your combat room stuff. Mahogany prize chest. You can put in the games room for larger prizes and stuff. An elemental sphere for magical changing staffs in the study. Not super useful. And also later, botanist workbench tier 1. And there is 55 construction. Very good. That's a whole new room. The formal garden. It's very fancy. Another garden. Doesn't actually do much for us besides look nice. If we wanted to redesign the house to have a garden, or maybe later when we add some other rooms, we can have an outside section. That'll be fine. At any rate, we're not going to be building that, as it costs 75,000 coins and doesn't do anything. We could put some stuff in there, though. We could put some stuff in our regular garden, too. Yeah, maybe later. We can make the armor stand in the workshop. Can actually repair even more things, like Barrow's armor. Tool store 5, the last of the tool stores. Should definitely make all those, so we have access to all the tools that we can. Put up a teak clock in the bedrooms if we wanted. Larger portraits of the miscellaneous people there for our portrait section. Boundary stones in the formal garden. There's definitely more things that we need to actually get unlocked for the formal garden to make it look more fancy. Just putting a few rocks and plants in it. Not the most formal yet. And then later, hidey holes hard will be great. Anachronia farm breeding pen, very useful. And the chapel tier 2. Alright. Let's go make these tool stores. We already have the hammer, saw, chisel, shears, spade, bucket, tinderbox. So we build some more of these. We still have tool store 3 and 4 we need to make too. I put one over there with a brown apron a needle and a glass blowing pipe. Tool store 4 has all kinds of molds here. Amulet, necklace, ring, holy symbol, tiara, and bracelet exist yet? Might not. But it will when it does. All kinds of molds. There are still some that you can't get there, but for the most part, pretty good. And tool store 5 is a farming emporium. Rake, another spade, because we totally need another spade. Trowel, seed dibber, watering can, secateurs. Lovely stuff. All kinds of things here. Very good. We've got a few more planks here we could use. Get these out of the inventory at least. Build some stuff. Remove some stuff. Build some stuff. Gets the job done. If we're going to be decorating the house, it's probably going to be mostly oak stuff. Just to keep that theming going. And also not having to go get teak mahogany logs. Although there's going to be a few new ways to get teak mahogany logs as we continue on today. Looking forwards. It's fun to know exactly what's going to be happening. It's very useful, that's for sure. Alright. On June 26th, 2006. Post bag from the hedge. Get your questions answered from such interesting people as the Port Phasmatus slime pool, somehow. Cats, like Bob the Cat and the Sphinx in Sophanem. Wyson the Gardener. And the main bit of information from this post bag from the hedge. Fred the Farmer, who you give a bunch of balls of wool for the sheep shearer quest, is using all those balls of wool to make a giant wool cow. He heard about some other people given a giant wooden horse as a gift, so he thought, he's got all this wool, might as well make something fun. Hopefully for less dangerous purposes. Anyways, on June 27th, 2006, a bug fixing update for recent things. Not any more specific than that, but some bugs have been fixed, which is good. And also, we're really getting to the end of June here, so the remaining things that were mentioned in the June behind the scenes will end up being in July, along with everything else that was already prepared for July. So it should be a big month full of all sorts of fun stuff. And we're already there. July 3rd, 2006. Behind the scenes. Not including the things that are still coming out that were supposed to be in June. We got stuff with the Fairy Queen, Pyramids, Moon Clan, Crossbows. Whole bunch of stuff. Wait one more day here. July 4th, 2006. New random events. We got the Beekeeper random event. We have to assemble a beehive for him. And then you get flax, mostly. And the Security Guard random. He shows up, gives you a book of information about account security, and tells you that you should go to the Stronghold of Security. A new dungeon here in Barbarian Village. Climb down the entrance. Very interesting dungeon here. Very interesting. A guy that doesn't exist, and a dead explorer here. Rummage around, find some handwritten notes about the Stronghold. Descriptions of all the different levels and a navigation and their account of this doom-filled location. This stronghold was unearthed by a miner prospecting for new ores around the Barbarian Village. After gathering some equipment, he ventured into the maze of tunnels and was missing for a long time. He finally emerged along with copious notes regarding the new beasts and strange experiences which had befallen him. He also mentioned that there was treasure to be had. But no one has been able to wring a word from him about this. He simply flapped his arms and slapped his head. This book details his notes and my diary of exploration. I'm exploring to see if I can find out more. Level 1, that's where we are. As well as goblins, Creatures like a man, but also like a cow infest this place. Minotaurs. I've never seen anything like this before. The area itself is reminiscent of frontline castles with many walls, doors, and skeletons of dead enemies. I'm sure I hear voices in my head each time I pass through the gates. I've dubbed this level War. It seems like an eternal battleground. I found only one small, peaceful area here. And we read as the levels we get there. Navigation. After getting lost several times, I finally worked out the key to all the ladders and chains around this death-infested place. All ropes and chains will take you to the start of the level you are on, however most ladders will simply take you to the level above. One exception is the ladder in the bottom level treasure room, which appears to lead through several extremely twisty passages, and eventually takes you out of the dungeon completely. The portals may be used if you're of sufficient level, or already claimed your reward from the treasure room. Here his diary. Today I set out to find out more about this place. For research, I knew about the strange creatures, so I prepared with some good armor. Day 2, found my way through the fearsome beasts of the first level, preparing myself to journey deeper. I hope that things are not too difficult further on, as I am already sick of bread and cheese for dinner. Day 3, ventured down to the famine level today. I was wounded and have returned to the relative safety of the level above. I'm going to try and make my way out through the goblins and man-cow things. I hope I make it. You didn't make it. He's dead. Yeah, we got portals, which we probably could take for a sufficient level. But you need to go through the Gates of War. Go through. Look around. Continue going through. The Stronghold of Security. As the name kind of implies, it's supposed to be about security. The only thing secure is the number of doors. Originally, you would have to answer security questions to go through the gates here. Stuff like, who should you give your password to? And stuff like that. Not exactly inspiring information. There's new monsters down here with new things. Most interestingly, from each of the new monsters, is part of a staff that can teleport you up to the entrance. So, basically Barbarian Village. Although we can just go to our house and use our Amulet of Glory to go to Edgeville. Well, that's close enough. But the other reward here, at the end of each floor. Open it up. Box hinges creak and appear to form audible words. Congratulations, adventurer. You have deemed worthy of this reward. You've also unlocked the flap emote. 2,000 coins. And a new emote. Amazing. With the emotes tab up here. And flap. We almost fly away, which is definitely something. Climb down to the next level. It might be dangerous. As we saw, this one was not dangerous. Partially because we're wildly overleveled, and partially because nothing's aggressive on the first level. Climb down. Next level. Read the book about level 2. My supplies are running low. I find myself in barren passages with seemingly endless, malnourished beasts attacking me. Ravenous for food. Nothing appears to be able to grow. Many adventurers have died through lack of food. The very air appears to suck vitality from me. Come to call this place famine. It's not quite as devastating as all that. There is zombies, rats, and the new beastie of this level, the flesh crawler. One thing that they used to drop, at least sometimes, was dust runes, which would have been a possibly useful thing. Combined air and earth runes, save an inventory space for house teleports. They don't do that anymore. Shame. Anyways, just need to get through here. Again, we're over leveled, so it's not too dangerous. One thing you can do is go through this entire dungeon as the first thing you do in the game in order to get the money rewards. As long as you are at least slightly prepared. Maybe bring some food. But for us, we're going to be just fine. We can just zip through here, opening the doors, not having to answer questions, which does speed things up quite a bit. Search the grain of plenty. The wheat shifts in the sack, sighing audible words. Congratulations, adventure. You deemed worthy of this reward. You also unlocked the slap head emote. 3,000 coins and an emote. Slap. My goodness. Down to the next level. Could it be dangerous? Probably not. Level 3. Just breathing in this place makes me shudder at the thought of what foul disease I may contract. The walls and floor ooze and pulsate like something pox-ridden. It's a very strange beast whom I narrowly escaped from. First I thought to be a cross between a cow and a sheep, something domesticated. When it looked up at me, I was overcome with weakness and barely got away with my life. Luckily I found a small place where I could heal myself and rest a while. I named this area Pestilence, for it reeks with decay. We're also doing the 4 riders business here. War, famine, pestilence. These are Catabellipons. They could, or maybe still can do, an attack that weakens you. Not super crazy. Also got some giant spiders in here. They are spiders. Still over leveled for everything here, so we just keep running through. It's definitely a system here. Some of the things down here were relatively good training spots before the 2023 or so update, which made all combat only care about how much damage you do, which made just doing as much damage as possible, mostly against undead and such, the best way. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Some combat training is in the cards at some point here. Box of Health. Box Hinge Creek, appear for audible words. As adventure, you've been viewed worth this reward. Unlock the idea emote. 5,000 coins. And the next emote. Light bulb. There you go. Climb down the dripping vine. Yep. To the lowest and final level. Level 4. On my first escapade into this place, I was utterly shocked. The adventurers who had come before me must have made up a tiny proportion of the skeletons of the dead. Nothing truly alive exists here. Even those beings who do wander the halls are not alive as such. But they do know that I am, and I get the distinct impression that if they were to have their way, I would not be for long. Death is everywhere, and thus I shall name this place Death. There's one small place of life, which is gladdening to find, and very worthy of my while. Death level. These shades are random events removed here later. The real main guy of this level is the Anku. I'm gonna get some of these at some point. Could be a Slayer task or something. I don't know. I got a list of that too. No need to. Gonna be figuring out Slayer here pretty quick, because it's a good time to get a little bit more levels. And for other reasons that are going to become clear here pretty soon. Will they be aggressive? They are at least half of our level here. No. Well, a nice, easy path through the stronghold security here. Completely lacking in the security portion, which did speed this up quite a bit. Just know that you must be secure. Cradle of Life. Hand touches the cradle. You hear the voices of 1,000,000 dead adventurers. Welcome, adventurer. You have a choice. Choose your style of boots. Colorful, fighting, or later you can even choose both, which is wild. The only correct choice is the colorful boots. But we get to look at them both here. Then we're just going to destroy them, obviously. You've successfully navigated the stronghold security and claimed your reward. You've unlocked the Stomp emote. And we can stomp on the ground. And achievements and all kinds of stuff for us coming through here. I don't know if I'm going to bother completing all the achievements again once they actually exist. But here we are. Got the fighting boots. They fight. And the colorful boots. They color. There you go. Now the stats on these honestly probably don't exist, really. Loadout, boots, they have any armor at all? Yeah, I got some armor. What do we want more? Slightly lighter from the boots of lightness, or slightly defended from the colorful? Yeah, I'll go with the colorful ones, honestly. what difference is 4 kilograms even going to make when we barely ever run out of run energy anyways? I will take a little bit of armor bonus. Doesn't negatively affect anything. Probably like all or hybrid or whatever. That's good enough for me. Really matches the set here. Technically we could have like rune boots or something. I don't know if those are even good anymore. That requires Slayer though, so meh. We're going to style it up here. Always a good time. And that is not the only thing that was released today. Got a lot of stuff going on. The rest of Moss the Harmless now exists. Previously it was just the town here. Now we can go beyond the walls, facing all the threats of this far-off island. And there's definitely a few different threats out here. As we can immediately see, we've got jungle horrors. And this is why they have the walls, because, yeah, if these were just hanging out outside, you would want some walls too. Jungle horrors. There's a lot of them. They're aggressive. Their drop table is definitely something. And wildly, wildly changed in 2018. Most of the stuff they used to drop, they no longer drop. And the stuff that they still drop is now all, like, noted. So, kind of makes it a weird drop table to deal with. But my goodness, there is just an infinite number of jungle horrors out here. The quantity out here has definitely been upped. That's pretty wild. Next thing on the island, we've got snakes. Jungle horrors, stop chasing me. They're very aggressive. Kill the snake here. We're taking damage. The snakes drop snake hides. There you go. So that's a new wave that we can get some snake hides. Well, that's great. My goodness, the absolute quantity of jungle horrors out here. I need to go get food. That's awkward. We can look. Well, not really. Next section. Talk to Captain Davy here. Be ye some form of simpleton? Do you not hear the howling of the horrors? Well, I can hear something now you mention it. Be them howling, always howling. If you value your limbs, you put that icon around your neck. Hope that they don't come out into the light. Alright, I'll get right on that. Witchwood icon, a new item. From the Slayer shop. And a cave entrance. You look into the cave entrance, you can see it is very, very dark. Well, it sounds like there are many large creatures moving around in there. Do you think you're ready? I think I get food, weapon, and light source. I got a light source, got a weapon. I don't have food though. So we will see how we do. We should probably use some protect from melee here. That would help. We can just restore it at our house anyways. I use my Canifis portal in my house to get closer over here to get to Port Phasmanus. Pretty great. Prepared as I'm gonna be here. Into the cave. Where we can find cave horrors. Similarly to the jungle horrors, but this time in a cave. Who would have thought? They've got their drop table also wildly changed in 2018. But one item on here, definitely more important than the rest. The Black Mask. 1 in 512, but very, very good. We just attack you with the halberd. We got halberd range. Look at that. There we go. Oh, we are living the dream with the dragon halberd here. It's a good time. The Black Mask. It is... Can we get the first kill? No. It is an item for Slayer. Filling the cave horrors down here is 58 Slayer. And then, if you want to continue doing Slayer, you want the Black Mask. Because it gives a bonus to attack and strength on Slayer tasks when using melee. Which was kind of the given at this point. Once range and magic are become more necessary, we need other things for that. Well, anyways, was a very significant boost of like 16.67% attack and strength. later, and for us now, it's 12.5% attack and 7.5% strength. So not quite as good, but still, 7.5% bonus damage is definitely better than the Berserker Helm at least, so would be something worth getting if we were going to go do a whole bunch of Slayer. And also potentially an actual Slayer task too, so couldn't just get it while doing Slayer. There's possibilities. With the amount of Slayer I plan to do, probably would not be really worth farming that right now. And then losing it before we can want to train Slayer again. That is one of the problems with the ways we're going to be losing items constantly. Especially later, once there's more things that require us to have literally no items. It's going to be a problem. Well, that's not the problem for now. One other thing going on in that cave. If you run all the way through, past all of the cave horrors, and also some bats, but those don't really matter, you can get to some stairs that go up onto some islands to the north here, where you can get some teaks and mahoganies. Again, a terrible spot. But now, the big thing here on Muscle Harmless, over here past all the terrifying jungle horrors, it is the minigame, Trouble Brewing. Yay! One of the minigames of all time. Join a team of pirates here, trying to brew some special rums. Get your bottles, get your bowls of water, flowers, some grubs, talk to some monkeys to get some nuts from the trees, go burn down the other team's base, pump things, put things in a giant mess. Goal to get pieces of 8. You trade here with Honest Jimmy for a whole bunch of different outfits and flags. Very fun cosmetics. Also, the stuff, which helps your brewing to become mature, so stronger ales more often. And very expensive teleports to come back here one time. Not worth it at all, when you can just run through the terrifying jungle. Not the most popular of minigames, that's for sure. Also, the rewards were made 10 times cheaper in 2009, along with the personalized shops update for some reason. So, very long and arduous task of collecting all these things if you want to. Bit of a mess, all things considered. Going in there does get you a music track, though, so there is some reason to do so. Although, you need at least someone for a team, which is easier said than done, with how dead the minigame usually is. Eventually there's going to be systems, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Instead, we will carry on to July 11th, 2006, and the next quest. Check our quests here. Scroll. We're definitely scrolling down here. Making progress. Fairy Tale 2. To Cure Queen. Requiring Fairy Tale Part 1, obviously, as this is Fairy Tale 2. 57 herb lore, 49 farming, and 40 thieving. Some pretty serious requirements in farming and herb lore. We've managed to accomplish that at least. Required items: a Dremel Lure Staff, a vial of water. It's not too bad. Starting over with Martin the Master Gardener in Drainer Village. We also need to get a pestle and mortar. That's not on the tool belt yet. We'll get all that. It's very easy to get to Drainer since we've got the power of the glory in our house. And we're also going to need some actual food, would be a smart plan. Because there is a little bit of fighting here. Well, there is definitely something. While getting some sharks here, there is 90 cooking. That's pretty good. Second level 90 skill, only behind wood cutting here. That is going to be Cave Moray in Damonheim. We could stop burning monkfish on a range. That's actually technically something we could do if we ever went and fished monkfish. Stop burning fried mushrooms for potatoes, sure. Wilder pies, Ports Adventurer. Stop burning green blubber jellyfish and creating primal pulp. Yeah, most of that does not exist. But just having a higher cooking level is, in general, very advantageous. Burn less things. Even things that we still can burn, obviously. Like the sharks, which we mostly use for food here. That works very nicely. Depending on how things go, we could be getting more 90s here relatively quickly. Like thieving. It's definitely in the cards here, if we want to get more money and such. Well, anyways, we're here for a quest. Talking to Martin, the Master Gardener. And don't pickpocket him. You have to wait for him to not be mad at you anymore. Martin, how's it going? Talking about farming and the fairies, like we did for Fairy Tale Part 1. I've solved your problems. I returned the Fairy Queen's magical essence. What are you talking about? The Fairy Queen was in an enchanted sleep because the Tanglefoot had taken the secateurs that contained her magic. I fought and killed the Tanglefoot and have given the Godfather the Fairy Queen's secateurs. She'll wake up and everything will get back to normal. I'm glad to hear it. If you don't mind, I'll go and plant some seeds now and wait until they're grown before I give the reward that I promised. Fairy Tale Part 2. Except, I guess it does sound rather far-fetched. Okay, I'll come back and see you after your crops have had a chance to grow. Great, I'll see you soon then. There's another waiting. That's inconvenient. Hey, have your crops grown yet? Not skill cam farming. Hey. Crops grown yet? Stop being so impatient. Hardcore also Ironman, Artic. They'll grow in their own good time, come back later. Phooey. How slightly inconvenient for us. Oh well. We will be here later. I really question if Martin has actually went and planted anything, since we've just been standing here staring at each other for the last 5 minutes. How's it going? Hello, Martin. You must be the slowest gardener in the world. I don't suppose those crops have grown yet, we say, as our crops take much, much longer to grow than his. Well, you got a nerve showing up around here again. What? What are you talking about? You told me you solved the problems with the gardening group's members. Well, I've planted loads of seeds since then. There's no doubt that even more plants are dying. But I gave the Fairy Queen's secateurs back to the Godfather. Things should be growing again. Yeah, sure, whatever. You know, I didn't believe you when you told me that story about the fairies in the first place. You just better solve this problem. When people get hungry, they get angry. You're the person who said that everything would be alright. So you're the person who they'll get angry with. I suppose I better go see what the problem is then. Oh boy. Situations. I show up. Everything's fine. Everything was not fine. My goodness. We're trying here. We're trying. We can go back to Xanaris, which is why we continue to keep the Dragon Staff. It continues to be a great investment to not need to drop all of our things again and again. Back into the Lumbridge Swamp. Oh boy. Always a good time. Always a good time. Right past all this swamp with nothing in it. Into the building. Just a shed. Chilling here. Right next to a swamp with nothing else in it. Bit of a weird place, this one. Anyways. Teleport to Xanaris. The situation in Xanaris. We gave the secateurs to the Fairy Godfather. We should probably check in with him first. See what's going on here. Fairy Godfather, see you. The Godfather is ignoring you. Don't say nothing to me, say it to the boss. Well, he's ignoring me. Dead end. Doesn't care. Does not care about the problems. We got problems. And of course, it's up to us to solve the problems. How could it possibly be any other way? Sigh. Oh yeah. Not too many people here in Xanaris that we can talk to. How about Fairy Nuff over here? In house. Open the door. And we go inside. Notice that everything is broken. Got broken shelves, broken bottles, broken picture frame. Wow, somebody has trashed this house. What's happened to Fairy Nuff and the Fairy Queen? Yeah, the Fairy Queen is here too. That is concerning, because the Fairy Queen wasn't over there. Search the Fairy Workbench. You don't find anything useful, just some glass from a broken vial. Everything's broken. And a certificate. Pick up Fairy Nuff's certificate. Being careful not to cut yourself on the broken frame. It's very broken. Very cool. Certificate of Advanced Healing from Pakistan College. Signed, Dr. Professor MD, PRD, Head of Magical Healing. Brilliant. And we can also study it. There's a message on the back. It is in squiggles and circles and stuff. A useful message, for sure. And then we need to find somebody that can help us with this message. Again, not too many people around, so just talk to everybody. Talk to the fairy chef here. Really, all the way around these mushrooms. My goodness. Show the certificate to the fairy chef. You know what these strange marks mean? Sorry, dearie, no. But I have seen a sign with similar marks near the mysterious ruins. You know, the ones that lead you to the Cosmic Rune Altar. The Cosmic Rune Altar, she says. Very good. So, we just go down to the Cosmic Rune Altar. Very specifically named. I'll use the agility shortcut here. Why not? Live in the dream, which is agility shortcuts, I guess. Speeds things up slightly. Unless you get stabbed. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. Just need to get a higher agility level and they'll get stabbed less. It's the price we pay to run around. Cosmic Rune Altar. Well, that's here. The Cosmic Ruins. And a Rune Temple sign. Cosmic Rune Altar. So with that, we can mostly decode the message here. We're on the run, back to this side. So we study this here and use the Cosmic Rune Altar information. We can get some information on what it actually says here. Just basically substituting everything out here. Gets you something. Using the letters from the Cosmic Rune Altar plaque, which honestly is quite a few. COSMIRUNEALTNR. So, quite a lot helping here. We fill in quite a bit of this message here. And then with what's left, we just need to find a few more letters. Like H, G, D, F, W, V, Y, J, and B. To fill out the rest of it here. Mostly works. Mostly works. And we get the message. The Godfather attacked us. We have fled to safety. If you are loyal to Her Majesty, find us by using coordinates AIR, DLR, DJQ, AJS. What does that mean? Well, that's the next question. Next question is, what is the Xanaris Choir? Can they come with me? I suppose. We're gonna go through the stabbing shortcut here again, so use it at your own risk, I suppose. Go talk to the Godfather again. The Godfather attacked, so we're going to need to be slightly non-obvious about things. Perhaps. Depends how we want to go about doing things here. We want to tell them where the Fairy Queen went. Do we want to try to be a little bit discreet with how we talk about things? Want to give them the message? Probably wouldn't get it unscrambled here. You never know. We need to be careful. We obviously are more aligned with the Fairy Queen than the Godfather here. Show the certificate. We can try. You show the certificate to the Godfather. Do you know what these strange marks mean? Why are you showing me that? It's very nice to see you's learning to draw. Bravo. Where's the Fairy Queen? What are you talking about? I've just been to Fairy Nuff's house. When I got there, I found it ransacked. Everything has been broken, and the Fairy Queen and Fairy Nuff are missing. SRNL. No. You say that the Queen Bee, she is a missing? This is a terrible. Who could have done such a thing? We must find her. I will organize a search party right away. Calm down. Let's think this through carefully. Do you have any idea who could have done this? No, none at all. The Queen Bee, she is well liked by everyone. That's not very helpful. Where could she have been taken to? The kidnapper must have taken her through the fairy rings. They will be long gone by now. We must go after them. Yes, we must. But most of the folk are away from Xanaris at the moment. Well, tell me what to do and I'll go myself. Yes, that is a good idea. Okay, you may use the fairy rings. Talk her to the coordinator. She will explain to you how to use the rings. But you must promise me that you will come back here if you find her. Whoever kidnapped her must be very powerful. You find the Queen Bee, and then you must come right back here, and we will rescue her together, okay? Yeah, sure. That's a great plan. Good. Now you talk to the coordinator. She will tell you how the fairy rings work. The coordinator, right over here. Tell me about fairy rings, coordinator. Hi, how's it going? The fairy rings. We already figured out the certificate here. Hi, the Godfather said I should ask you to explain how the fairy rings work. Goodness, as if I don't have enough to do already, without giving every adventurer that comes along a history lesson. Let's get this over with quickly. Xanaris is an extremely old place. It was here long before we fairy folk came to live here. In fact, it is rumored to be the nexus of all planes. When we arrived here, we found many of the magical properties of this place to be dormant. One of these was the ability to jump between planes, using a powerful portal that had been sealed for centuries. The Fairy Queen harnessed that magic, created the fairy rings. These are not as powerful as the original portal would have been, but are very effective nonetheless. There are 3 fairy rings in Xanaris. The one in the market, the one near the Evil Chicken Shrine, will only take users to one specific place. However, the 3rd fairy ring, near the fountains, is a major portal. Anybody who activates that fairy ring will find themselves able to dial in a 3-digit code. These codes will all take the user to different locations. Some of the codes no longer work, and other codes go to extremely dangerous places, so be careful. Fortunately, the fairy rings are imbued with a powerful protective magic. As long as you stand in the middle of them, nothing will be able to attack you. Remember, because you are a human, you will need to be holding your dragon staff to activate the rings. Now I must get back to work. There's so much to do, and so few fairies left to do it. Indeed. The fairy rings. Very interesting. I was toting my staff down the magic fairy kingdom road when along came a comper with that bright greenish colored toad. He said if you're going to the fairy ring, come with me, we can glide. So I followed that Max dude, and then we settled down ringside. He asked me if I knew a spell to travel everywhere. I said I've got a few, but I need to walk the rest of the way there. And he said, these go everywhere, noob. These go everywhere, noob. That's the path from here to there, noob. It isn't even fair, noob. Travel without a care, noob. These go everywhere. They go to Mire, Canifis, Slayer Cave, Feldip Hills, Calfight Lair, Narda, Legends Guild, Edgeville, Yanil, Shilohville, Schmick-Gruber's Wood, so much foliage, Forest Island, River Island, Desert Island, Poison Island, Enchanted Valley, Abyss, Cosmic Plain, Gorax, Caramwans, Hazelmere, Wizard's Tower, Penguins, Sinclair, also Sinclair, the other ring is right there, Staria, Hollow's Tunnel, Fairy Hideout, Fisher Realm, Miscellanea, South Castle Wars, down to Mystical Point, Necromancer Tower, the Zoo in Ardogan. Are down? Artie? Ardoin. Yeah, it's Ardoin. So you see, young noob, fairy rings can go everywhere. Fairy rings can do anything. As long as you have your dragon staff on you. Huh, thanks. Well, that was very informative. Fairy rings can, in fact, go everywhere. But they can go everywhere slightly more easily after later updates. Use the fairy ring here. We get this whole interface now. Originally, it was just this part, where you move the rings and teleport. And then you have to do it every single time. And also, if you go to a place, you can only click the fairy ring to come back to Xanaris, then use this bit of the interface again to go to another place. There's been a lot of additions afterwards. Like this whole list of the locations. It says 35. I think it's counting Xanaris 2 and the combo location. But overall, there starts with 33 actual locations we can go to. I guess 34 if you count the Fairy Resistance headquarters. We're getting to that. But there's also one fairy ring out in the Haunted Woods that you can't go to for whatever reason until later. Also, there's going to be lots more fairy rings later too. So we're going to be using this list to only go to the fairy rings that actually exist for us. There is a lot of places that can be added here. A lot of them are like quest locked and stuff, so even if we tried, we wouldn't be able to go to all of them right now. Anyways, there's also more features for the list here, like adding favorites, the wheels spin faster, you can right click on the fairy rings in other locations. Let's go to a spot. Using the code that we had on the Fairy Enough certificate, we can go to the Fairy Resistance hideout. We go into AIR, which is an island here. All over the place. These go all over the place. These combinations require you to go and then continue going. And this is the point where we would have needed to go back to Xanaris, but it's more of a quality of life and just speeding things up slightly. It's functionally the same. All that going back to Xanaris does for us is take a little bit extra time. We want to continue on the Fairy Resistance headquarters. Go to DLR. You can also click on these to take the location. It's quite the system. And then back to Xanaris, where we enter DJQ. Go from the Poison Waste. Then from Xanaris, Then we're still in Xanaris. Doesn't seem like we were getting the, wow, this fairy ring doesn't even go anywhere message. Because the additions that you can go to multiple locations from here just teleports you to Xanaris from Xanaris. Later on, there's even a whole Xanaris code, which, again, not really necessary when they just go. It's kind of it's the way it works in, so I just added it to the list, because why not? When we went to all the places, we got a whole bunch of achievement diary stuff, too. Varrock, Poison Waste, Artoin Zoo, Calvite Lair, MacGruber's Wood. Quite the thing. What we need to do now is get to the Fairy Resistance headquarters. After going to literally every other location available. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. And at the headquarters here is the Fairy Queen. Looks almost lifeless. Well, that's no good. Fair enough. Hi. We made it. Eventually. Hardcore Ultimate Ironman, Artic, you found us. I'm so glad. I was afraid you wouldn't get my message. Fair enough, what happened? After you brought back the Queen's enchanted secateurs and gave them to the Fairy Godfather, I went to him to ask for them so that I could wake Her Majesty up, but he refused to give them to me. Then I noticed that lots of my friends were missing. When I asked him about them, he said they were off working for him, and then he threatened to have his bodyguards pull my wings off. I was scared for the Queen, and so I moved her here. When I returned to Xanaris, I found my house ransacked. There were other fairies that had been attacked by the Godfather, so we fled the city and came here. Managed to hide a note that I hoped you would find. Obviously, you did. Alternatively, we just randomly stumbled in here, which would not be a surprise for us. But more seriously, but why would the Godfather do this? Isn't it obvious? He wants to rule Xanaris instead of the Fairy Queen. The latest fairies to arrive have even reported that he has invited all sorts of monsters to the Lost City. So, what should we do about it, do you think? See the fairy. You see a fairy approaching. A fairy's approaching. Very, very wise. They are over here. I've got terrible news. One of our spies has just returned from Xanaris and has reported that the Godfather has enlisted an army of orcs. Apparently, they are wandering freely around our homes. I'm sorry, but who are you? Oh, how rude of me. Hardcore Ultimate Ironman, Artic. This is very, very wise, advisor to the Queen. Very, very wise. This is Hardcore Ultimate Ironman, Artic. Oh, I've heard of you. You were that young adventurer that defeated the Tangleroot. Yep, well, that's me. So, you're also the idiot who gave the Godfather Maniac the Fairy Queen's magic secateurs. But that was a mistake. I thought he was trying to help the Fairy Queen. So you're not evil, you're just not too bright. Well, I'm glad you found this place. Although if you can find it, it's obviously not much of a hiding place. Now you can help fix the damage that you've done. Alright, what do I need to do? The first thing we have to do is wake up the Fairy Queen. We have to go back to Xanaris and find a way to get those magical secateurs back from the Godfather. Oh, that's easy. I'll just pickpocket them off him. I'm really good at that. 88 thieving. I ain't lying. Okay, just be careful. His henchmen have keen eyes and will be watching out for him. Yeah, we'll see how that goes for him. 88 thieving. Yeah, it's pretty good. Requirement was like, what, 40? Yeah. I think we got this under control. Use Fairy Ring. Just brings it back to Xanaris. No complications. The other thing we need to figure out is the best way for us to get to the Fairy Rings system. Because once we get to a Fairy Ring, we get to all the Fairy Rings. I think probably Edgeville, probably going to be one of the closest ones we can do. Was having some hopes for the Haunted Woods one, but we would need to have the ectophile on us at all times, and that's a little bit much. That's an extra inventory space. Not super convenient. We also used up a bunch of air runes, accidentally fighting back against things in the abyss. We can always just buy more of those. That's fine. Pickpocket, the Fairy Godfather. Yoink. From him facing us. That's how good we are. You pickpocket the fairy godfather. Get the queen's enchanted secateurs. You'll love to see it. Magical. Magical. This all could have been avoided if we just would have not given them to the fairy godfather. We talked to Fair Enough. She said, she told us to. I don't know. We're doing what we can here. We're doing what we can. So we can just pop back to the Resistance headquarters instantaneously here. Yes, we can. Another bit of a skip here. But it works out well enough. Just skipping a few loading screens more than anything. It does mean you would need to have your own list of fairy rings, or just memorize them, because there wasn't the list to start. Fair enough. Here you go. Oh, Hardcore Ultimate Ironman, Artic, you're back. I'm so glad. Did you manage to get the secateurs? You should have seen me. The Godfather didn't even know I was going through his pockets. Here they are. Fantastic. Let's just hope that it's not too late. You hand, fair enough, the Queen's enchanted secateurs. Magic happens. And magic goes to the Queen. Oh no, it didn't work. She's been asleep too long. Calm down. There's gotta be something we can do. After all, we've given her back her magical essence, right? Yes, we have. There's one small chance that we might be able to wake her up still. But I'd need a potion of magic essence. Well, that doesn't seem too bad. What do I need to make one? A potion of magic essence is made in the same way as any other potion. First, you mix a vial of water with a base herb, in this case a starflower. Starflowers are rich in magic essence and are excellent for curing poisons, and that's what the Queen is suffering from, a poisoning of her life essence. Then we need to add the catalyst ingredient, a powdered Gorax claw. Gorax drain the life from their prey, so by using one of their claws, we are hoping to draw the Queen's life essence back. Thanks for the lecture. I've seen a Gorak, but where do I get one of these starflowers from? Starflowers only grow in the higher planes, and even there, they're extremely difficult to find. You should be able to access some of the higher planes by using the fairy rings. Gorax in the fairy rings, higher planes also in the fairy rings. We still do need to get the vial and the pestle and mortar here. I'll go to some shop that sells those, buy those, and then get back to the fairy rings. We can even see the run to the edge of the fairy ring. That could be good. Okay. Let's see how this goes. The main idea here is connecting a house teleport to a fairy ring location. There's definitely a few somewhat nearby some of the other ones, but along with walls and things, I think Edgeville is probably going to be the best. One of the main used fairy rings. Come from Edgeville here. Just need to run around to the fairy ring right here. That's not too bad. There is more places we can get to from here. That'll be good. Use the fairy ring. I mean, I guess use select fairy ring. That's fine too. Select fairy ring. We need to go to the Gorax. What kind of order are these in? Alphabetical? Sort by location. One in Asgarnia. We got dungeons, fair resistance, Feldip Hills, islands, other realms, like the Gorax plane. That's where we need to go. We need to go to two places here, obviously. Gorax plane. Here's the Gorax. They are wild, wild stuff. For a while, their drop table was completely bugged to only go to the rare gem drop table. So, sapphires through diamonds, half keys, dragon spears or something. Spears and left halves, I think. Stuff on that table. And you could get to the normal drop table by doing various stalls. Eventually that was fixed, so now we have access to their regular, normal drop table here, where they have a few things. What we really care about is the steel throwing axe. No, Gorax claw. Grind that all up for some claw powder. If they still had access to the gem drop table, with the amount of health that they have here, This definitely would have been a solid place to try to get the key halves, but no longer the case, unfortunately. Now I just need to go to the Cosmic Entity Plane. Need to be wearing our Dragon Staff. That's very specific. Other Realms, Cosmic Entity Plane. There we go. And on the Cosmic Entity Plane, we've got, unsurprisingly enough, the Cosmic Entity. Cosmic Being. Hello there. Salutations, traveler. It is unusual for one of the creatures called humans to visit this plane. How can I assist you? I was looking around, thanks. I hope the beauty of my world brings you great joy. Where do flies go at night? I don't know. Hello. Who are you? My name in your language would be Bubserankanglarklarkazkaz, but you can just call me Bub. This small plane is my home. Here I study and ponder the mysteries of existence. Mysteries of existence? Like what? Political philosophy is an oxymoron. Brilliant stuff from the Cosmic Being here. I'm looking for a star flower. Then you've come to the right place. Star flower, which is much prized for its magical properties, only grows on this plane. It has a very short lifespan. Plants grow, flower, and die in the space of minutes. If you search around, you might find some growing somewhere. Like over there, where they're currently growing. And over here, where they are already grown. Pick the star flower before it withers and fades in mere moments. Oh, caught it just in time. Star flowers. Doesn't look that rare. I mean, if it only grows on this tiny island here. There's a whole plane here. Wild stuff. Star flower. Magic potion. Gorak claw. Magic essence potion. And a bit of herbal XP for that. Not too shabby. Could be worse. Of course, I need to wait around for star flowers and fight Goraks. And it's not 100% drop either, so. Eh. I'm gonna go through the whole Fairy Resistance headquarters list here again. Well, we need to get the potion back, so it's fine. Seems like if it was the last place we've been, it stays unlocked. That's alright. The Fairy Queen here. Fair enough. I've got it. I've made a potion of magic essence. Oh, Harkolta, Ironman, Artic. That's fantastic. Please give it to Her Majesty immediately. 3 doses. Maybe even just 1 dose. Fairy Queen, here you go. Magic. And the Fairy Queen's okay. Brilliant. What happened? Why do I feel so awful? Your Majesty, you're awake. What happened? Last thing I remember was confronting that Tanglefoot with the aid of the Godfather. The Godfather! Yes, that's what I said. Oh, hello, Harcourt Ultimate Ironman Artic. Please, excuse me for not having noticed you earlier. I'm not feeling quite myself. Why did you shout about the Godfather? I'm not really sure how to tell you this, Your Majesty. Seems as though you've fallen foul of a clever scheme of the Godfather's. That's absurd. Why would the Godfather want to hurt me? I'm afraid it's true, Your Majesty. You see, nobody knew the Godfather was with you when you fought the Tanglefoot. But that's the point. I didn't fight the Tanglefoot. We had only just entered its lair, and sensing the danger to itself, the Tanglefoot fled down a passage. Then, blackness. Then, Your Majesty, I think it may be worse than I imagined. I suspect the Fairy Godfather attacked you from behind and left you for dead. He has taken over control of Xanaris while you were sleeping. He has enlisted the aid of orcs and other assorted ruffians. If any of your subjects dared to question him, they were assaulted. I very much suspect that if it wasn't for the quick thinking of Fairy Nuff here, you would be dead. She fled here with you and as many of your loyal fairies as she could gather. We've been in hiding ever since, until this brave adventurer managed to awaken you. I can't believe it. He shan't get away with this. How do I get back to Xanaris? The Godfather shall answer for his crimes. No, stop, Your Majesty. Why, old friend? The Godfather has recruited an army of villains, whilst we just have the few fairies who escaped, and although they would gladly follow you into battle, Many are still wounded from their treatment at the tyrant's hands. I must counsel caution, lest this brave hero's efforts all be wasted, and the Godfather captures you. He won't let you survive a second time. There is wisdom in what you say. I shall ponder your words before I act rashly. As for you, hardcore ultimate Ironman, Artic, how can I reward you? You've done the fairy people a great favor that shall not be forgotten. I'm afraid you find us in trying times, but please accept this magic lamp as a sign of our thanks. Fairy Queen gives her a speed lamp. And also some other stuff. 2 quest points. The lamp is 2,500 XP in anything, which is great. 3,500 Herbler XP, 2,500 Thieving XP, access to the Fairy Ring Network, and the Fairy Resistance Hideout, and the ability to make Magic Essence potions, if we wanted to. Obviously this goes in Herblore, because Herblore is a pain. Not that that's a huge amount of XP, but I'll take what I can get, honestly. If we drink the Magic Essence potion here, it does give a pretty sizable magic boost here. Got to 94 there before it ticked back down. Time. It works. Destroy the certificate. We don't need that anymore. Kind of needed this for accessing the fairy rings at the start, but we made it past that point, obviously. Yeah, if we want to get some magic boost for something, we could. We're kind of past the point where we really need magic boost for most things. Well, that's okay. 87 magic. Not too shabby. Oh, there you go. We now have access to even more transportation, which is going to help quite a bit. And one way it's really going to be beneficial here is for our journey in Slayer. We now have access to a better Slayer Master in a fairly convenient fashion. Previously, we would have went to Edgeville. I mean, previously we would have ran from Varrock to Edgeville to get a task from Vanica. Unfortunately, or we could take the Ectophile to Canifis to talk to Masterna. But those are lower level Slayer Masters. Technically, we could also go to Duradel in Charlotte Village. But I went through the task list, and it looks like Cheldar is going to have more of the tasks that we want to do, and more tasks that we actually can do. So don't need to mess around so much with skipping things. And if we get any Slayer points, which don't exist yet while training Slayer, we can use those to skip some of those tasks too. We'll see how it goes. Eventually. Might want to just do a bit more construction first, because once we start doing Slayer, we're going to have a few other things in the inventory taking up space. So, training construction until we are basically out of money first would be a good idea. That's what all this money's for, basically. That was, in fact, the plan all along. So we will continue down that route, and continue down the timeline. As per usual. Next time, goodbye.